So there's this moment when we're playing with tarot where we're trying to move closer to ourselves and somehow end up actually leaving ourselves. So you pull a card for clarity about a situation, or maybe some cards, and instead of feeling closer to yourself and feeling more contact and maybe more comfort, you actually end up feeling more confused. And that's what I want to talk about. Because tarot is a powerful tool that can help us move towards ourself and our intuition. But in the attempt to read tarot, something happens that is often quite the opposite, right? In our attempt to move towards ourselves, we actually end up leaving ourselves. What do I mean by that? So perhaps we look at a spread, look up a spread, right? We ask some questions, we pull some cards, and we have no idea what it means. Let's do it. The King of Cups. What the hell does the King of Cups mean? I don't know. I have no context. I have no questions. But when I look at the King of Cups, there's something that happens in me. This happens almost every single time I pull cards. That's like, what does it mean? What does it mean? Let's take a look. So what happens next? You pull out your little card or your little book or one of your bigger books of card meanings perhaps, and you read about it. Or maybe you search on the interwebs or even talk to AI. Then you do your best to make the connection between what you've read and what the card shows and is saying in your situation. So let's unpack this, right? This is a move into your prefrontal cortex as you begin the process of trying to make meaning and developing like this intellectual understanding of what's happening here. And so as we're moving into our prefrontal cortex, we're moving away from our gut, away from our intuition, away from our felt sense, away from this kind of more diffuse mode of processing information into this more narrow kind of focused way of processing and understanding. And that creates this, that doesn't allow for this more deeper, richer meaning that happens through lived bodily experience. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with this. And I will say that if this is my first move to pick up the book to make meaning of the card, then I'm not creating the conditions that help me connect more deeply with myself and my intuition. Because here's the thing, when we're pulling the tarot cards, we're often looking for clarity, right? And that might actually mean that we're looking for this felt sense of relief, of something that makes sense, this feeling of contact that we make sense. And that's something that we feel in the body. So we're in some way trying to feel a little bit more comfortable about a situation or our lives. And in other words, we're trying to feel a little safer in our bodies. And if that word doesn't resonate with you for whatever reason, safety, try on the word comfort. We're trying to find some comfort. But when we go into this meaning making, trying to figure things out, we can paradoxically reduce safety further and create more activation about the situation, more discomfort. So before you reach for the guidebook, here's the invitation. We can start by just making a little bit of contact with the body. You might notice when you say to yourself or find yourself saying, what does this mean? What does it mean? Or just noticing when you're reaching for the guidebook. Again, not to make this wrong, just as a moment before this. So for me, again, almost every single time I pull cards, this is how it feels. Like there's something that rises up in me. It's like, what does this mean? It wants to understand what this means. So we can first just notice, how does that feel? How does that feel to not know what the card means? And if we get really quiet and really still, we might actually notice that there's something that's a little bit scared. It might be different for you. It's going to be different for everyone in some small way, but there might be something that feels scared. But as soon as we begin to recognize how the body feels in this present moment situation, in relationship to the cards, in relationship to how it feels to not know what the card means, we've opened a doorway to the body, to the intuition, to our felt sense. So let's just take a little pause and breathe, right? And just notice that we're alive, feeling this urge to know, noticing how it feels, that urge, feeling the body's contact with the surface. And just see if it's possible for this moment to just soften your gaze as you look at the cards. To invite the awareness to fill out in all directions, into the room, behind, beneath, above, around, into the day outside. And breathing in, you might think or even say that for this breath, it's safe to not know. For this breath, it's safe to not know. And just rest for a while. Rest here for a while. Just imagining that the whole of the living body is looking at the cards with you. And seeing if there's any small fragment or small fragments that come, not a whole clear picture, not a whole knowing, not a whole story, but just some small piece of contact that feels true in the body, that gives that body the sense of, yes, that. And you might notice what changes when you just start here instead of reaching for meaning first. I'm Izzy. I am a neurodivergent and queer somatic practitioner and a creative expression facilitator. And I love exploring somatics in this accessible way through art, through music, through movement, through tarot, through poetry and writing. And if you liked this, I hope to see you around for more.